Since doing the videos on this car a couple of years ago, I'm still constantly getting comments asking about the wiring on these things and how to wire the car. The first thing that I can say is some of the best advice I ever got in my life was you don't need to know all the information, you just need to know how to find it. A Chilton's manual or a Haynes manual, if you look up one of those and you can find one for the car that you're working on, the Cutlass, that's the best. It has every breakdown of what everything is. It's pictured, it's right there, categorized. You can look through it. It'll have every rundown of what every wire is, and that's a great way to get to know your car. It's probably the best thing that you can do. If you can't find one of those, because I do believe they went out of print, you can just Google, 1982 Cutlass wiring diagram, and it'll have everything that you need in there. But I'm going to simplify it even further to the basis of everyone asking, what does it take to run the engine? What do I need to do? So I know a couple of people had mentioned about trying to keep their computer-controlled carburetor system on their car. I believe it's called a CCC system. This car, that was omitted on it. This is more of like a race car. We also don't require any emissions testing like that on antique cars in this state. So that addresses that. If you're looking to motor swap your car with one of those CCC carbs, yeah, it's probably not really the best thing. Those cars are very limited tunability wise, and your best bet is to just keep it stock at that point or look into other ways of registering it. That's really all I can say on that one. So let's go ahead and show you a closer up of what's going on underneath the hood of this car and what it takes to get it running. Okay, I am a little bit colorblind, in fact, so bear with me on this. I also don't have the best lighting. So what it takes to run the car, over here you'll see the harness that came through this hole right here, that one, that's all of the stuff for the CCC computer controlled carburetor, and then I believe stuff for the heater unit. This was all deleted, so every bit of wiring that came out of the hole on this particular car has been deleted. It's not necessary for what we have done. This carburetor is non-computer controlled. This is a Carter AFB 8, which is basically just an Edelbrock. To run it, obviously, you got to have your ground connected to your battery and to a good ground source. A lot of people use the intake manifold or the block somewhere, alternator, something like that. You got to have your power cable, which goes down to the starter. I don't know if you can see. Hold on, bear with me. It's hard with the headers. But it goes to the large terminal on the starter. You can see the cable kind of run down there. Oh, there we go. It goes to, see, it goes to the large terminal on the starter. There's another wire that goes down out of the main harness. This car has 3 wires in the harness that run to the starter. This one, the top one furthest to the right, goes to the top post on the solenoid, and these 2 go to the bottom. You should be easily identifiable by the gauge size. These are pretty large and distinguishable wires. The other thing I forgot to mention with that wiring is the ones going to the starter. The one at the top of the solenoid is a little clip, just a single clip that slides onto a tab, and the other 2 wires went onto the same terminal that the power cable to the battery went to, and they had a loop on it, so pretty distinguishable. And as far as the other sensors in the harness that I meant, the connectors, they have a very distinguishable plastic style end that would click over a factory style sending unit for oil pressure or coolant, etc. Next wire is out of this main harness. So a lot of this thing is all folded up in here. I really can't take this thing out and take it apart. But a lot of like the sensors, the factory sensors and stuff are in there, which I guess that you could reuse if you wanted to put the correct types of sending units into this motor to plug those in to use your factory gauges. I don't have that going on, but that's what a lot of the wires in this harness is for. This harness that comes out from underneath around the windshield wiper area over there is like the wire where the wires for the motor are. Also in that wire is going to be this little, I don't know what color this one is, but this runs into the alternator here. The alternator plug is pretty easily distinguishable, you know. That plugs right into there, and then out of the same harness would be, out of the plug would be this little one. So that's very easily identifiable. And then this red harness here, red wire right here running out of the harness, it comes out basically right next to this alternator wire. This is what gives power to the distributor. So this one has to be hooked up. Let me switch over to the other side and I'll show you. And this one is also pretty easily identifiable, I would say. It's this one right here. So one of these for the HEI distributor that this car has, this is already in the distributor, and this one is the one that this wire right here is the one I just showed you from over there, and that is what is plugged in to the distributor to run that. The other harness that I was showing you, the main one that the engine harness is, that runs out of the car, if you've got a car that's already been, you know, pulled apart or whatever, it's this harness right here. That engine harness, it runs up around over the top of the master cylinder down, and it goes into this harness. So all of right here, this harness this set of wires right here coming out of this fuse blocks, this is what it takes to run this is what runs the engine stuff on the car. So that's what you're looking for. The other side of this harness, if you look at it, these lower ones here, this is your headlight harness. The top one section here, this just goes right into the windshield wiper motor. Okay, and this is the headlight harness, which is very easily identifiable, obviously, because it has connectors like this for the bulbs. Now, inside of the car, as I mentioned before, I'm not going to be using any of the factory gauges on this car. So what I ended up doing, and I never showed this in any of the previous videos, was I bought this little 3-gauge pod, and this is purely mechanical. This right here is for the temperature sensor. This just plugs into like the thermostat housing or a spot in the manifold. The oil pressure is also mechanical. It's just this little tube that runs into the fitting into the back of the motor, and it leaks down everywhere. And then for the voltage, one side of this just gets grounded, and the other side gets run to a key power in the fuse block. It comes with instructions with it, so it's pretty straightforward. It's just those couple of connections. You really just need to hook up the wires to the starter, the wires to the alternator, the battery cables, HEI, and that's it. And you got a runner. Good luck, guys. Hope it helped.